Hello everyone, my name is Hunter here, Weather on the Go, and this is your evening episode on your Sunday, August 17th, 2025, and we're looking here at Hurricane Erin still spinning across the Atlantic Ocean, where it's going, the track, which is important, and we're looking also at the impacts it could bring, and also anything else that we need to know about the tropics across the Atlantic and the Pacific basins. We're going to look at your major heat wave, your severe weather, and your long-range update as well in this video. So if you enjoy straightforward, accurate, informative, and life-saving weather information, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and also share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Here is Hurricane Erin, and it is spinning to the north of the Dominican Republic as we speak, as of this video, and it does remain a Category 3 system, as the National Hurricane Center still has it at a maximum sustained winds, 125 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at 13 miles per hour, and it is likely to remain at least a Category 3 hurricane through Wednesday afternoon through 2 o'clock as it crosses between the Carolinas and Bermuda, and remaining a hurricane just to the south of Atlantic Canada, south of Nova Scotia there, as we go through 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. So this will be a hurricane all week long, and we look here at the latest intensity guidance, and like we mentioned, this is likely to remain a Category 3 system at least, possibly getting back to Category 4 status for the next few days before slowly tailing off, becoming a Category 2, eventually a Category 1 hurricane again by Friday, just to the south of Atlantic Canada. Now, we are going to be looking here at our water temperatures. This is really what's feeding the beast, so to speak, and this is really warm water here, upper 80s, low 90s ocean temperatures in Fahrenheit, and this is what is going to continue to lead to that sustainability of this hurricane at Category 3, even Category 4 strength moving forward over the next few days. And notice still some pretty warm waters even south of Nova Scotia here. So yes, this will remain a hurricane through at least Friday afternoon this week. Now here's the system to the north again of the Dominican Republic. This will continue to move to the northwest as we go through the next 48 hours or so, eventually getting very close to the eastern islands of the Bahamas, and then it will cross between the Outer Banks there and Bermuda almost perfectly as we go in towards Wednesday, August 20th and Thursday, August 21st. And then as we go into Friday again, that is going to move south of Nova Scotia. It will pick up speed as well as it moves further out to sea as we go in towards next weekend. This system is going to be close enough to the United States to threaten the United States, the Bahamas, and the Greater Antilles here with some rip current risks and some rough surf. You can see the wave heights near the eye wall is around 45 feet, and this system is also going to be getting much larger as we go throughout the week, so the waves are actually going to spread out in all directions too, and that could create some dangerous rip current risk along all of the east coast of the U.S. from Maine to Florida, including Atlantic Canada, the coastline there of Nova Scotia, eventually by next weekend. But in the immediate term, we're going to be watching there again areas near the Bahama Islands and the Dominican Republic and Haiti for those bigger rip current risk, and we can't forget our friends in Bermuda either. We're also going to be seeing those rip current risks there. Now, we're also tracking is back here into the eastern main development region, another robust tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa, and this system actually has some legs with it. The National Hurricane Center is recognizing that and saying, hey, there is a chance this could become a tropical cyclone, whether that's a tropical depression, a storm, or a hurricane over the next 7 days. That wave has just come off the coast of Africa, and it will be moving toward the Lesser Antilles once again, and it has a 30% chance of development. If you watched my video earlier today, it was at a 20%. They have increased that to a 30% chance. So this is something we definitely have to watch right on the heels of Erin as we go toward later this upcoming week. In contrast, it's very quiet. You could hear the crickets here across the eastern Pacific basin because there's nothing happening over here at all. Next 7 days, a sigh of relief, I guess a silver lining, if you will, that the East Pacific's not busy. So at least we don't have both oceans with hurricanes or anything like that, at least for now. Now let's look here at the main development region for the source of this system as we go towards next Friday, August 22nd. That's Erin up here. We'll disregard that for now. Our next system will be Fernand as it potentially moves toward the Lesser Antilles, and the ensemble guidance, at least with the European model takes a very similar track to Erin. Now, we can't say this is for sure because there definitely are some members further south toward, again, the Puerto Rico island there, even the island of Haiti and the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas as well. And we look at the GFS ensemble guidance, and as we get toward the following week, we also have those members, again, following a similar track to Erin, but there are some stragglers down here that get very close to Florida, the Bahamas, and again, Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, and those surrounding areas there. So we have to keep a very close eye on this as we round out the month of August. Closer to home on the mainland United States and southern Canada, but especially for the U.S., we're seeing a lot of very warm temperatures. And why are we seeing that? Well, a ridge of high pressure is in control across the Mississippi Valley, and that stretches back there toward New Mexico and Texas into the southern plains. And we're seeing temperatures above normal, all right? We're seeing 15, 20 degrees above normal here. As you walk outdoors, you're probably feeling the muggy air out there. And there were some pretty high heat values today. It's high temperatures got well into the 90s, low 100s in big cities, okay? Little Rock, Memphis, St. Louis. We're talking Dallas, Fort Worth, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Shreveport, extending over into Nashville and Jackson, Mississippi, and even Kansas City. A lot of people at risk for heat today. And notice our heat index values at current time, as of this video, are still hanging around the upper 90s to low 100s. As we go through the evening, we're going to get rid of those heat index values, but it will still remain muggy out there with heat indices into the 70s and 80s, even well beyond midnight. So make sure you're still staying hydrated by drinking water and such. Electrolytes are great as well. I love Gatorade Zero myself. Powerade Zero definitely helps to stay cool out there. But as we go into your Monday morning, here's where temperatures will start as you head off to work or school. We're going to be into the middle and upper 70s across the central U.S., so a warm start to the day will promise a warm end to the day as we go into Monday afternoon. Similar areas again tomorrow, bigger cities down here across the south central U.S. knocking on the door of 100 degrees once again, and those heat index values will be climbing very quickly throughout the morning and into the afternoon, back into the 95 degrees Fahrenheit to even 105 degree Fahrenheit range, which means more heat advisories will continue. Here are the latest alerts, and this captures it very well. Mississippi Valley and orange there, that is where heat advisories continue as we go into the day on Monday, where we expect those high heat index readings to probably approach 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Notice up to the north, though, you see the green up into Minnesota and western Wisconsin, including the Twin Cities area. Those are flood watches where we're anticipating some pretty heavy rainfall in the short term. So all of this heat is leading to some severe weather and some heavy rainfall. Here's the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook for tonight, and there is a scattered threat for severe weather in yellow from southwestern Minnesota into northwestern Iowa and northeast Nebraska, surrounding that in dark green. That's where isolated severe weather will be possible. We also have a threat up here into Montana and along the I-95 corridor from Boston to New York City. Bigger cities in here, Baltimore, Philly, Washington, D.C., Hartford, and Providence, all included in this as we go through the rest of this evening. There is even a small chance of a tornado. Now, most of the damaging wind reports and hail reports are going to likely continue with any severe weather that happens this evening, but there could be a couple tornado reports or landspout reports as we go into eastern portions of South Dakota and into Minnesota, especially the southwest corner of Minnesota there through the evening hours. And then as we go into tomorrow, Monday, August 18th, more of it a broad brushed area, dark green, isolated severe weather, but I would not be shocked to see an upgrade over here in Iowa, northern Illinois, or southern Wisconsin to that yellow area where we could see scattered severe thunderstorms going into tomorrow afternoon. The good thing is it's mainly just a wind and hail threat, but the tornado threat again is less than 2%. So that's the great news with this setup for tomorrow. So let's look at the central United States view like we do. We'll go to the eastern U.S. after that, then the western United States. So here for the evening, we're watching out for a few storm cells. They'll be popping up. Kind of a cluster of storms developing there in South Dakota and Nebraska overnight tonight. This will be well after dark. And then notice all the heavy rainfall up there in toward the Twin Cities. That's why you have that flood watch, as these heavy rainfall bands could kind of sit around there for a few hours and kind of train over the same areas. Going to the day on Monday, we're going to be watching the warm sector sector of a storm moving across southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. That could bring a nasty line of storms. I know some areas there in northeastern Illinois got hit very hard yesterday with 70, even 80 mile per hour winds, knocking out power for many folks. That could be a repeat as we go into tomorrow. We'll watch that as this approaches areas to the west of Chicago around rush hour, and then the Chicagoland area later into the evening before falling apart. And looking here at the eastern United States, we got some storms about here, a scattered basis. Not everybody's seeing these, but a few of those could be strong up toward the I-95 corridor. Notice you see those storms really dwindling in their coverage and intensity after the sun sets. That's because the instability levels will be decreasing as the sun isn't heating the surface of the earth anymore. And then as we go into the daybreak on Monday at 7, 8 a.m., things are looking pretty quiet out there, pretty good in the eastern United States, heading off to work or school. And there could be a couple of pop-up storms between about 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and evening for areas like Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, and Alabama, Tennessee there. But again, it will be on an isolated to widely scattered coverage, so not everybody will see those. In the western U.S., we got some storms in Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. A couple storms over here in northern California and southern Oregon, and a third area down into southeastern New Mexico and West Texas we're watching. As the sun sets, just like the eastern U.S., we're going to see the instability levels decrease, and thus the coverage and intensity of the storms will increase out west here. Starting off the day with a couple showers, maybe rumble of thunder in eastern Washington state, northern Idaho, and then as we go into the afternoon, a couple pop-up storms mainly there for Montana and northern Wyoming, and that could produce some locally heavy downpours. Now, as we look at the rainfall totals, going up through 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning, August 19th, and the heaviest corridor will be from Minnesota down into the Badger state of Wisconsin, and that's kind of the area we're watching for an inch or two of rainfall, Milwaukee included, Madison up toward La Crosse, and then getting into the Twin Cities area there of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Minnesota, also included in this, and Duluth. So some areas here, again, getting an inch or so of rainfall. And if this comes down in a short amount of time, there could be some flash flooding. So the Weather Prediction Center is forecasting a slight risk of flash flooding, especially into the Twin Cities and La Crosse, right along the Mississippi River there, extending down toward Waterloo, Iowa, and Dubuque, Iowa, as we go through the rest of tonight. And then the area shifts into eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and north and northeast Illinois as we go into Monday, where we have that line of storms moving through. Could drop some pretty heavy rainfall there. Again, very susceptible areas. Milwaukee, remember, in just around 10 days, we had about 18 to 24 inches of rain. So we don't need another drop of rain anytime soon. Unfortunately, I don't think that is going to happen. We're going to see more rain there. Now, as we go into Tuesday, August 19th, at least the severe weather threat subsides. You see the light green here. That's just your everyday garden variety type of thunderstorm. So no severe weather in the forecast once we get to Tuesday, but the heat will be on still across the west. We're going to be seeing some pretty hot temperatures continuing through Tuesday and going all the way through the weekend. So Sunday, August 24th, we're seeing a lot of warm weather out west, leaning towards normal, but a couple of bouts early in the week that we could see some warmer temperatures out east, especially again early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before we cool down. We are going to see some drier weather throughout the week. Main storm track in southern Canada, especially the closer you get to the Hudson Bay or the closer you get to the Gulf further to the south in the southern United States. That's where we could have some pretty heavy rainfall down there for Georgia and the western Carolinas. There could be some areas here that could potentially exceed 4 inches of rainfall, and this is only going to be later in the week. So this could lead to a flooding risk down into the central and western Carolinas and eastern middle Georgia as we go through Sunday, August 24th. A lot of this rainfall coming mid to late week. And we are looking at a pretty powerful storm system. It's an occluding low pressure, and we've seen a lot of these already over the past couple of weeks. In August here, up into Canada, that's where the main storm track is. Well, this is going to drive a strong and, should I say, powerful cold front south from Canada into the eastern United States, and it will have a lot of cool air behind it. In fact, you see that starting to infiltrate areas into the upper Midwest, into the Great Lakes region in southeastern Canada, like Ontario and Quebec, once we get to Sunday, August 24th, and getting into Monday the following week, August 25th. And this is some fall-like temperatures, my friends. We're definitely going to start to see some cooler weather. In fact, the Climate Prediction Center is really on the same page here with bringing that below normal temperature trend down into the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley into the Northeast, warmer down near the Gulf Coast, including especially South Florida, and then the Pacific Northwest still remaining warm. This is between August 25th and the 31st, that last week of August. And the precipitation will trend wetter with the tropics along the eastern seaboard, drier there with drier air we're going to be seeing across the Great Lakes, and then wetter out west, especially up there toward the Pacific Northwest, with more storm systems coming in there in late August. Well, if you did take anything away from this forecast informative wise, make sure to subscribe to my channel, as we'll continue with these daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm and with life-saving updates. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it by giving it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. And let me know in the comment section down below, did you have any pineapple juice today? I have not. I might have to over the next few days. Today is National Pineapple Juice Day. So thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your weekend out there.